I'm at the World Museum of Mining. I'm about to go see a ghost town, and I'm gonna go 100 foot underground. Well, I'm not sure if it's exactly 100 foot. I just know it's a tunnel. You go in, and they say it's 100 foot long. So I don't know if that means that we're just going like so far underground and 100 feet in, or if we're actually going 100 foot down. I'll figure it out. Either way, I'm going to be going underground. Y'all gonna come along for the ride with me? So we're at the World of Mining Museum, and I'm going there and do what I gotta do, and then get in there and see what I can see. So I'll see you on the other side. Well, underground. Getting cooler.
And the temperature's nicer.
Mm-hmm.
You're officially underground. As we'll see in a couple of minutes, up until the 1960s, the support of the rock openings of choice was wood. In the 60s, we figured out how to use what we call rock bolts. This is one type of rock bolt. You drill a hole in the rock, put one of these square washers on, and then we drive this into the rock. What we're doing is we're forming a Roman arch here, which is a very stable structure, as long as the keystone doesn't fall out. So if you think of the rock bolt holding the keystone in, so the rocks don't fall on our heads, that's what we're trying to achieve. We then put up a chain link fence. Just, it doesn't do any support, but it keeps these little nuggets from falling down on our head. Nice part about steel is it's cheaper than wood. It doesn't burn like wood. It doesn't rot as fast. It takes a lot lower skill level to install.
Was this one of the main shafts or
What
a
we're in,
track running in it or what?
what we're in now was built just for this tour.
Oh, okay.
So all the workings originally went down the shaft and then worked out from there. When we get to the 100 level station, that was the actual working station.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of this is a recreation and access. You can't imagine the insurance to try to run the hoist.
Yeah,
There's a lot. Ventilation.
Oh, yeah.
Watch your feet. Like that.
Watch your head.
Are you kidding? A little bit.
Oh, damn. So this is a mock-up of the square set timbering that was the ground support of choice up until the 1960s. The expectation of a miner is he would come in, he would drill, he would blast his round, he would then scoop this stuff out, and we call that mucking, and then he'd set one more set of timbers here. So we put two more posts up, the cross members called girts, and the one that goes across the front, the cap. So if you blasted the right width and height, it went in really well. Otherwise, you'd have to spend, if it was too big, you spend more time blocking against the rock because we've got to have the wood in contact with the rock to support the rock. If it was too small, we'd have to take another blast to make it bigger.
We're supposed to see your breath down here?
98 degrees and 100% humidity. It's
Okay.
you're 98.6, so. So, yep. The new miner training in Butte. After we blast, we've gone that way, hopefully 5 feet. But we might have loosened up some of the rock around us. So after the blast, we turn on the fan, blow some of the dust and air out. We come in and we hose down the face to wash down some more dust. And we're gonna come in with a big steel bar and we're gonna poke all the rocks. Make sure they're solid, or if they sound hollow, we're gonna knock them down. In new miner training, they had a nickname for the big rocks in the ceiling. They used to call them Dugans. So told all the new guys, make sure you get all the Dugans, because if a Dugan falls, you're gonna get killed. When you get up top to the surface, Dugan the mortician's gonna take care of you a second time. Okay, we'll go back to the intersection. Yep. So we've drilled, we've blasted. We've drilled our 6 foot deep. We're probably gonna pull or effectively go forward 5 feet. And that 5 feet, and it's gonna be an 8 foot wide opening by 8 feet high. We're gonna get about 6 tons of material. This is a 1 ton work hour. So we run that back in there with a trusty shovel. Start filling it up. Bring it out here. We'll have our mule here. That's our motive power of choice in the 1900s. Tack on 3 cars, and then the mule will take it off down to the station. So mules once underground stayed underground. They had stables underground. They had a pretty good life. They got an hour for lunch. The miners only got 30 minutes. Service life of a mule was about 10 to 15 years underground. There was a staff veterinarian that toured all the mines and visited all the mules to make sure they were still healthy and good service. If not, they were hoisted to the surface and then put out to pasture. Eventually, we figured out how to make a rechargeable battery electric locomotive, and we replaced the mules. In our quest for improved productivity in the 1920s, this is invented. Basically a front-end loader on rails, but its official name is a 12B mucker, or an overshot mucker. We stand precariously on that steel plate, hang on to the controls. We'll drive this forward into what we just blasted, fill up the bucket, drive it back to there. When we flip the switch, this bucket goes 180 degrees and throws everything into the car behind us. It's compressed air powered. Drive like a monkey, no bronco.
You know, like these, you'd have a long walk to work every morning.
This is that 12B mucker with upright and raised position. The cool part about where we're at right now is we're standing in the vein. So that big pink band right there cuts across, goes about 30 feet this direction. What we're chasing is the metallics. So we've got galena and sphalerite. Every ton of this rock has about 30 ounces of silver that comes along with it. Galena gives us lead, the sphalerite gives us zinc. And the rhodochrosite gives us manganese. You wanted the big ones.
Oh, wow.
When I was in graduate school, I actually got to go down a mine in a hoist. It was the Sterling Hill Mine in New Jersey.
Yep.
And right before they closed, and I forgot how deep they took us, but yeah, it was a fun ride. And then the rock is different. It's more of a marble with trace elements, and so we turned off all the lights, and then our leader had a black light, and then everything's like fluorescent.
Yeah, Sterling Hill is world famous for fluorescent.
And since they were closing, they let us take whatever we wanted.
Oh. Now you paid an arm and a leg for any specimens from there.
Is that pink part rose quartz or is that the manganese?
That's the rhodochrosite, manganese carbonate.
Okay.
And what was the green?
Green's actually greenokite, which is a cadmium sulfite. So it has actually grown since we've exposed the walls to moisture and oxygen.
Okay, that's the secondary.
Secondary mineral, yeah. These days we should bring the pressure washer down and clean it off so.
Fun climbing that there.
And what's the black?
That's actually manganese staining.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So the manganese oxidizes, turns nice and black. So I mentioned we like to mine up, so this is a mock-up of the stope. That would be our working face up there. We'd go up there and then we'd go along the vein a certain distance horizontally, and then we'll go up again, work horizontally and up again and horizontally until we get to the next level up. Up there we have what's called a slusher, which is just a bucket on a cable, so we pull that over and then drag all of our shot material to the top of this chute. And then when we bring our ore car, it's real easy to load, open the chute door, let gravity do its work, fill the ore car, and then take it off to the station.
Got the right shoes on for this.
So watch your head as you come in here,
That way.
head up front towards the lights. Morning, Evans, watch your head.
That's a lot of batteries. It's a lot of batteries. Mm-hmm.
This is the 100 level station. It's the actual working station at this mine. So ore cars would come here, they'd come off the track onto these steel sheets, we call them turn sheets. We're on the back side of the head frame now from where we looked at it through the window. So these are our two hoisting for ore compartments. This third one is for mined materials. And technically there's a fourth compartment which has a ladderway and our utilities running it. So our compressed air line would come down through there, electrical. I love the craftsmanship of old. A couple of you noticed little side door, or as you leave, look down there, there's a tank in there. It's a 10,000 gallon water tank. Had to be built in there stave by stave. Wasn't like they went to Home Depot and just bought a tank and shoved it in there. Takes a lot of, I don't know what, but skill. Take a railroad rail, bend it at 90 degrees, 90 again, and keep it square. So most of these timbers are pickled in arsenic. They removed, butte copper has a lot of arsenic in it, so they were removing it at the smelter instead of putting it out to the air. And then they were reusing that as pickling agent for the timbers to prevent rot.
Does that conserve the timber? Is that the idea? Or
Yeah, preserves it, yeah. These first two sets were here when we opened this up, so they're at least 70 years old.
Some spots are drier than others. This one's a pretty dry spot, I guess.
Yep. We've come across when we've intersected old workings here, some timbers look like they were installed yesterday and others are just dust. So either the pickling wasn't too good or maybe it was the tree that they used. It's hard to say.
Well, what kind of timber they generally use, or where'd they get it from?
They got it from west of here, over by Missoula. They had a treatment plant, what's now, or it's called Bonner, off I-90. So all those timbers would be cut and milled there and then brought over here, and then they'd miter them for the different opening sizes and then send them underground for use.
So what's the white crystals on the wood? Is that the stuff you were saying?
The sparkly stuff?
Yeah, like on the ceiling, it's just kind of a white
Looks like stars on it.
granular, I don't know if it's humidity or if
I
it's
think it's humidity.
kind of crystallized.
after these tours, how many people become miners that shows?
We do a lot of tours in the spring for schools. I love doing those tours because I try to recruit every chance I get. It's not a big number. Mining doesn't have the best image even today, so it's a safer, cleaner occupation. I try to sell students on for the 6 years I've been at Montana Tech. We've placed 100% of our graduates. Over 90% of them get summer jobs in the mining industry. And they're gonna be getting paid between $18 and $22 an hour as an intern. So, getting a degree with a job is pretty appealing to most students.
Yeah.
But it's not, it has some pretty cool parts with, automation of equipment, so driverless trucks, driverless drills. But there's still a lot of brute force and stupidity that goes into it. But whenever you show a kid a blast, that usually hooks them as well. So, we get to legally use explosives on a daily
Legally.
basis, legally, yeah.
Sold.
Plus we have scholarships, Butte's a nice place to live. It's a small school. All the selling points.
Is that
separate from
new
University
school?
of Montana?
Yes. We were up until last year, Montana Tech, the University of Montana. We are now Montana Technological University because we were special focus, because we have all the stuff that UM or MSU don't like. Mining, petroleum, geology, safety and health, environmental engineering.
How many students at the school?
About 2,300 total.
Yeah, do you know how that compares to the Colorado school mines, or it's similar, or?
They're a little bit bigger. Our mining program's actually bigger than theirs. Later, mine, which is on the edge of the Berkeley pit on the northwest corner. So, night shift, they're lowering a cable down, and the purpose of that cable was to improve communications from underground to the surface. Very long, very heavy cable. In those days, cables are coated in lead and jute and tar and all sorts of stuff because they didn't have the plastics and rubbers we do today to insulate our wires. So that gets tangled up at one of the stations. Foreman goes out there with his carbide lamp, which is spitting fire out about this far, trying to see what's going on. And he catches some of that insulation on fire, and poof, all of a sudden we've got fire in a wood chimney. That mine's what we call a downcast shaft. So they were actually bringing air down the shaft and distributing it to the workings and then sucking the bad air out another shaft. So on the surface they knew there was an emergency, but they didn't know what it was, because even though there's fire in the shaft, all the smoke and stuff's being pushed out into the mine. Some miners were able to escape through adjoining mines. Some miners were not well trained and they got off the shaft at X station, so when they smelled smoke they ran towards the shaft. Well, that wasn't good. Some miners got into a dead-end heading like the first one we went into. They built a barricade out of timber and rags and mud, anything to keep the bad air out, but basically entombed themselves in with whatever good air they could salvage. There was 3 groups of those miners that built the barricade, and they survived. So a couple days later, mine rescue was down and were able to find those different bulkheads and let those guys out and get them safely to surface. At the end of the day, there was 168 miners that perished in that accident. Oh,
Okay. That's basically the one table?
okay, yep. Yep.
Yeah, there's the water.
Last year, you would have seen the water right at the rails. A lot wetter year last year. So two bells, one means the first level, or in this case, the 100. So that would ring up in the hoist house. When our turn came, he would drop us a cage. Presumably it'd have an empty ore car in it. We'd take that off, put our full one on, then we'd signal him. If I remember right, it's 6 bells for zinc ore or 4 bells for waste. and then when it got to the top, then they would know where to dump it. And then there was the bell there for the third compartment, so just for men and materials, we would use that bell.
Would have mine signals, huh?
I need to replace this. This is from the 3700 down to the 65. So it's deeper than this mine, so I don't know. Somebody thought it was a good idea to put up a code of signals. It's just the wrong code. The codes were pretty standardized because there were 17 languages spoken underground in Butte. Can't mess up counting. So there's no loss to translation. It's pretty good. We'll make her with the 65 for the breather. As you can see level, you appreciate this break.
Miners make a pretty good wage down here working.
The 1900s, the wage was $3 to $3.50 a day. Compare that to Detroit auto workers making $1, $1.20.
Wow, okay.
It's got a lot of weight to it.
Huge wage, but obviously risky. Families, yeah. This is where we catch our breath. The last trudge.
Where that door opens, right? There we go. It's hot quick coming up there.
That is a crazy weather change.